You're listening to the TCB Radio Network.
Hello, friends. This is Elvis Presley.
This is Cynthia Pepper from Kissing Cousins. This is Elvis's Speedway co-star Victoria Paige Myrick.
This is Zoe Botto, author of Elvis Style, From Suits to Jumpsuits.
Hi, everybody. I am Marion Cox, the official sex symbol on TCB Radio Network.
This is Mindy Miller.
This is Ray Walker from the Jordanaires.
Folks, I'm Ronnie McDowell.
This is Don Wilson. And if you're looking for Elvis, you're in the right place.
TCB Radio Network,
Where everything is about Elvis. It is all about Elvis.
all Elvis, all the time.
If you want to listen to something really stylish, listen to tcbradionetwork.com.
With my friends, Peter Alden and Kristen Joy.
Don't leave. If you do, you'll be sorry for a short time. The rest of your natural life.
As Elvis would say, son of a bitch.
People who know Elvis know the TCB Radio Network, where it's all Elvis, all the time.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to TCB Radio Network podcast. Janet Bostic has been a fan of Elvis since the age of 5, maybe before that, and has studied his life as long as she can remember. She saw Elvis in person 4 times, including once in 1976 when she received a scarf and enjoyed a kiss and some conversation with him. More on that story later. But Janet has taken 6 trips to Graceland, with her earliest being in 1976 when Elvis lived there, and her latest trip being in 2019. Her favorite Elvis song is Love Coming Down. She's the mother of triplets, and just like Elvis, her only daughter's name is Lisa. Elvis has always been a huge part of her life.
Janet is one of the dedicated admins of a group on Facebook called Elvis, a celebration of the man and his music. With nearly 94,000 members from all over the world, it is the largest Elvis group on Facebook. Janet's group welcomes Elvis fans from all over the world to join in as we celebrate the life and legacy of Elvis Presley. Janet is also our head writer at tcbradionetwork.com for over 3 years now. She's been providing our readers at the website unique insights into lots of subjects pertaining to Elvis. Articles from Janet include favorites like Pondering the Presley Puzzle, Beauty Mist, and 2 of her most popular articles have been viewed over 300 times. Each include Steadfast, Loyal, and True, Hamburger James, and How Much Is Enough.
Janet and I truly connected on our whirlwind media tour of Elvis Week 2019, where we visited Jim Sykes and Trish Henley backstage at Elvis Radio at Sirius FM. We took you behind the scenes at the Graceland auction, interviewed artist Betty Harper, the head curator of the Elvis Presley birthplace. We toured Lauderdale Courts and the teenage bedroom of Elvis, and so much more. What an adventure we had. And you can find links to those videos on our Facebook page at facebook.com/TCB Radio. Pete and I are so excited and honored to have her with us today. Janet Bostic, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. It's like coming home.
Well, Janet, where did your love for Elvis all begin, and what does he mean to you?
The first one began when I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and my brother took me to the movies, much to his chagrin because he was around 12 or 13, and obviously taking a 5-year-old to the movies was not high on his list. But off we went, and we saw Girl Happy. Now, he said to me, sit here and behave, which he always said, and I usually didn't. I might run up and down the aisles, ask for popcorn, whatever. But the truth is, I sat in that movie, and I remember it just like it was yesterday. I sat there and stared at that screen and scarcely moved. And I remember coming out of the theater, and I just said to him, who was that man? What is his name? And he said, that's Elvis Presley. And I remember looking at him and saying, oh, I like him. And that's really where it all began from that time on. I can't explain it. I can't give you the reasons. It just is. So that is where it began. What he means to me, there's a connection. And if you're an Elvis fan, you understand the connection. It's almost as if his story becomes your story and your story becomes his, and you really feel close. And he makes you feel loved, and he makes you feel like you're a part of what's important. And I've used that a lot in my life. Different songs come back to me during different times, different struggles, different adventures, different whatever. And it's just fascinating. It's not just his music, and it's not the movies. It's the entire legacy, the entire rags to riches tale. And all of it falls into what it is. It's just a hobby that kind of borders on obsession, sort of, in a way. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I think most people listening can relate, as we're doing an Elvis show here. So we understand. We get you. We're all in the family. So tell us, Janet, tell us about the day, the concert, when you got the scarf. Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, this was back in 1976. I had seen Elvis 3 times before that. The first time I was only 10 years old, and maybe 11, and I had seen him from a very far distance. This time in 76, I was still in high school, and I had won front row tickets with a contest where you had to answer questions and so forth. So I went, and I was literally feet from him the entire show. It was so exciting.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go.
And at one point in the song, he looked down at me, and we made eye contact. And I know it's a fan moment, but we made eye contact, and he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "A scarf." And I gave him the rose, and he gave me the scarf. Within seconds, somebody snatched the scarf from me. And I remember standing there, just dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. And he stopped the show. He went and got another scarf. He came back to where I was, brought it to me, wrapped it around my neck, and gave me a kiss. And from that point on, if I hadn't already loved him, who does that? That was just remarkable that he did something like that. It just showed the measure of the man and what he was about, and how much he really did care about his fans, because he didn't have to do that. And it's just something that has been an impression with me the rest of my life, really. So.
An absolute magical moment. And Janet, tell everybody the location and the date of that concert.
It was August 28th, 1976, and it was at the Summit in Houston, Texas.
Have you ever found anybody that got a piece of that moment, or some of your hair in the photo or anything like that?
Well, I have a couple of photos, but not of that moment. I have some photos of him handing me the scarf, the white one that was stolen from me. I don't have photos of the other scarf that I ended up with. And I have photos of him looking down at me, and I'm talking to him, and of him accepting the rose that I brought him, the yellow rose.
How'd you get those?
My date that was with me had a camera. It really wasn't a date. It was a friend of my brother's, but he was invited to go along with me because he had the best camera that I knew. So that's why he went. But he took those, and I've got all those photos.
Smart, inviting the best camera.
Right. They're linked with the article that's on tcb.com.
So we actually have those pictures of that moment. So you can check them out at tcbradionetwork.com. Just do a little search, probably for Janet, Elvis, something like that. And the article with her photos will come up. That's so exciting. Super cool.
The story title is The Yellow Rose.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, and we'll link to that in the show notes as well. So that was the day. And then fast forward to now, you're running a fantastic book group. It's called Elvis, a celebration of the man and his music. And I know that you spend hours and hours on this. It's truly a labor of love. Why do you spend so much time creating post group? What's the group for you? Why are you doing all this, Janet?
Well, it started accidentally. I joined the group about 4 years ago, and I was only there a month or two and learning about Elvis and different things that I didn't know. I thought I knew it all, but I've learned how much I don't know. The admin of that group, Dave Rogers, approached me and said, what would you like to help me admin this group? And I'm yeah, sure, I guess, why not? I didn't know much about it, but decided I could learn and see what happens. So we started doing that, and it's just evolved from there. I mean, we've grown, we've added new guidelines and different features. And the main thing of our group is we want to live true to our title of celebrating Elvis. We're not going to whitewash anything in his life, but we're not going to focus on anything negative as well either. We want to celebrate his life and his legacy and get the truth out there about what kind of person he was. There's so many stories, so much he said and she said and this and that. So we try to get the truth out there. And to me, the most important thing is the fans. They want to be heard, and they need a platform where they can talk about what they like, what they dislike, and share their own stories. And to me, that's one of the most exciting things is, if I write an article or I write a post, to have some people respond and say, oh, I get what you're saying. Let me tell you why this is important to me, or let me tell you how this affects my life. I've heard so many beautiful stories from people about how they connected and what it means to them, and what it meant to them in the past and what it means in the future. I mean, Elvis was in many ways a surrogate father, surrogate boyfriend, surrogate companion. He meant a lot to a lot of people because of that fan connection. But that's why we do it. It's a lot of fun. It's an enjoyment. I love to write, so it's a very good outlet for me. It gives me a place that I can say what I want to say as well. But it's the connection with fans, with the other people.
Yeah, it's a fan really active group. Posts going on all the time. So how can everybody find you if they want to join on Facebook and be in your group?
Well, it's a Facebook group. It's called Elvis, a celebration of the man and his music. And just look that up on Facebook, in the search engine, and request to join. You have to agree to our guidelines, but they're pretty straightforward, just common sense. The other thing about our group is that Elvis Presley Enterprises has approved us. So we are an official Elvis Presley Enterprise fan club. So
very cool, with members all over the world. So it's super exciting.
It is. And we have a very good team that runs it.
So tell us about your writing. Now, have you been writing your whole life, or you only write about Elvis, or tell us where that all started?
Well, I've been writing most of my life. I mean, I've always enjoyed it. I've always loved to read. Writing is just an extension of that. When my children were younger, I had a blog that I did for several years and kept up with that. And that was a really good outlet as well. And then I sort of put it down for a while until I started with this group. And now in doing this, it's picked up again. And writing about Elvis and all the different facets and all the many portions of his life story, there's so much to write about. He's an easy subject. I mean, I can look at a song and write an article about that song. I can look at something he did in his life and write about that. Or I can write about other fans. I mean, it's just an easy subject.
It really just flows naturally from you. And I feel like it was a gift from God when you found me, because I was looking for a writer, and we were just such a perfect match. And we love having your articles up on the site, the ones you choose to share with us. And I hope everybody will go over to the site and read them, tcbradionetwork.com. It just flows so naturally. I mean, you love Elvis. He's part of your life. And so I know it's an easy subject for you, but you're truly a gifted writer. Not everybody can do that. It's pretty special. So
thank you.
Teaser, Janet, I know you're working on an audio project coming soon, and I thought it would be fun for our listeners to get a taste of what's in store. So I thought it'd be fun. I'd like for you to read one of your articles that can be found, once again, on tcbradionetwork.com. I picked one of my personal favorites. So without further ado, I have it pulled up for Janet so she can read it. Go ahead, Janet. Take it away.
Okay, you got it. This article is about Poke Salad, which is one of his songs that he was in almost every concert when he was on tour. And I think I posted it right after Tony Joe White, the writer of the song, passed away. Poke Salad. What the heck is that? Written by Janet Bostic in memory of Tony Joe White. The lights flash and dim. The murmuring crowd quiets. The immediately recognized strains of 2001 Space Odyssey begin. Suddenly, all eyes are scanning every corner of the stage. We all know why. The crescendo rises, the trumpets blare like the heralding of a heavenly body. The masses are enthralled with quivering anticipation. The electricity in the building builds to a fever pitch. I had never experienced anything like it before, nor have I ever experienced anything remotely like it since. The crowd erupts simultaneously. The popping lights are nonstop brightness. The growing roar is unmistakable. The corner spotlight glows like the arrival of a blinding comet zooming into the Earth's atmosphere from the depths of outer space. Suddenly, our man in white, the heavenly body we'd anticipated, the one whom we love with all of our being, appears, bigger than life, brighter than the sun, more stunning than imaginable. Yes, a heavenly body and soul, our man Elvis has made his entrance, like no one else could or has since. He smiles that smile, waves, acknowledging the adoration, prowls from one side of the stage to the other with a boyish swagger, and a heart that returns the love collectively thrown upon that stage. He walks over to his man Charlie, who places the guitar strap gently around his shoulders. Suddenly, he is center stage, and the long-awaited voice booms out into the crowd to the pumping action of Polk Salad Annie. Polk Salad Annie. Down in Louisiana, where the alligator grows so mean, lives a girl that I swear to the world made the alligator look tame. So I ask again, what is it? It's the wild delivery of hip swiveling action and reaction from the heavenly body that we've been awaiting. It gets the blood pumping and stirs the crowd. In reality, it's a wild seed we've become so wrapped up in. I grew up in the South, the deep South. Lived there until my 30s. I will admit the only Polk salad I knew was delivered from the stage by the greatest entertainer this world has ever known. I have never seen, had, or consumed Polk salad by any other means, nor do I think I would want to. I decided to research it just to share that it is a real thing, it does exist, and people do consume it. And if you're really into it, I've included a recipe for you to try a little polk salad. The cultural significance of polk salad, the cooked greens-like dish made from pokeweed, and the rural poverty reflected in its history, is indicated by the popularity and coverage received by the 1969 hit swamp rock song, Polk Salad Annie, written and first performed by Tony Joe White.
I love it. And in the article, if you'd like to check it out, she includes a recipe. So she really took it another step for you in classic Janet Bostic style. Janet, thank you so much for coming on the show today and being with us. We really appreciate your time and especially your talents. We feel so blessed to have you as head writer at TCB Radio Network. And thanks for all the work that you tirelessly do in your Facebook group, Elvis, a celebration of the man and his music.
You're very welcome. It's something I really enjoy, and I feel blessed and honored to be a part of it.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
There you go.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Okay, Red West, that's a wrap.
All right. And we just want to thank once again Janet Bostic for sharing her heart and her time with us here at TCB Radio Network. What a fun interview. It was great for you guys to get to know her too. She's been such a presence on the website for so long, but I know it had to be cool to hear her voice and even something she read. How exciting. So the other part of this story is we wanted to announce that Janet will be helping us co-host the show in the future. So we did this episode as a way for you to kind of get to know her. So this was a lot of fun. What a gift Janet has been to our team here at TCB Radio Network. I could never really convey what it has meant to us to have her on our team, and we're super excited, like I said, to announce that she'll be co-hosting with us on the future episodes of the podcast. Stay tuned for those. I came across something Janet wrote about Elvis on our website recently. It was actually about him and one of his songs. But I realized that her words about Elvis kind of conveyed how I feel about her and her work and her love for Elvis altogether. Once I changed the words around a little bit, it made a lot of sense to me. So here's what Janet wrote, kind of combined with some things that I added. There's nothing more attractive than humility and honesty. Those two things are definitely describing Janet as well as Elvis. Couple those with the writing voice like no other, plus the smooth musicality of Elvis, and I find it speaks volumes, conveying much more than words. It's the sum of the entirety that is a love story beautifully enhanced. So there you have it. I think that explains our relationship with Janet here and her love stories that she writes about Elvis on almost a daily basis. They're awesome. All right. In the next portion of our show, I wanted to discuss a little further a subject that we covered on my other podcast, which you can find over at newlivingthedreampodcast.com. I felt like during these unique times, we can find some inspiration from Elvis the man. So here's kind of a Cliff Notes version of the show we did over there. Elvis Presley was indeed an inspiring personality and unquestionably lived his dreams and then some. No matter what you think about his untimely death, the life story of Elvis was rock and roll because he decided to make it that way. I've admired Elvis, the man, and his music for as long as I can remember, and I have dedicated countless hours to him here at my project, tcbradionetwork.com, where we interview and spotlight the people who knew him best. And here at the end of today's show, I thought we would feature the dreams, inspiration, and joy of Elvis Presley. Life lessons, if you will, from the king of rock and roll. So here they are, 5 keys to living your dreams like the king. Number 1, dreams stand on the other side of your fears. Elvis once said, and I quote, "I haven't forgotten what stage fright is. I still feel it before every performance and have just learned to not let it become a barrier for my dreams." End quote. Elvis knew that to achieve our dreams, we need to cross this bridge of our deepest fears. People encourage us to step out of our comfort zone all the time. But Elvis didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. He was a shy boy at school, afraid to perform in front of others. But at the same time, he was the hero of comic books and movies and in his dreams. It was really interesting. We had Sally Hodel guest with us on that particular episode, and she mentioned how Elvis started dressing kind of out of character, kind of flashy, and doing his hair different. And we all kind of agree that that might have been exactly what he's talking about here. Yeah, he was a shy kid, but maybe he wanted to get used to being the center of attention because he knew what was coming. And so there you go. The dreams live on the other side of your fears. So we can always remember that as an example from Elvis. Next up, perseverance. Elvis encountered hardships and adversity throughout his life. Losing his twin brother at birth was something he never got over. He was lonely at times. As a boy, he grew up within a poor family, was bullied throughout his childhood. He was incredibly poor. But as a young adult, he saw his brighter future and his dreams very, very clearly. He spoke about them as if they were happening in that moment. He made a powerful commitment to improve his life situation. So perseverance is something we can definitely learn from Elvis, the man. He exemplified that as well. Next up, always be yourself. This was a motto Elvis truly lived. Elvis never tried to be anyone besides himself. With his sideburns and flamboyant clothes, he didn't look or dress like the other kids at this high school. He was often bullied for this. During a now famous conversation inside Sun Records, he was asked, "Who do you sound like?" Elvis replied,
I don't sound like nobody, ma'am. Elvis was different. He was not trying to imitate or be anyone else. He was striving to be the best version of himself. Elvis brought together his own musical tastes and backgrounds, gospel, the blues, country, and more. He created an entirely new category of music just by being himself. Our next lesson, Elvis inspires us to let our obstacles become stepping stones to success. A boy who belonged to a poor family, was bullied around, was a perfect loner, and didn't have much time to start off on his own, decided to make his life better. And he did. Nothing worthwhile is ever easy. Obstacles are a part of life. It is easy to spend time feeling sorry for ourselves and weeping over our obstacles. I know I do that from time to time. But the time we spend on crying over them is better invested in starting all over again and doing something wonderful on our own. We can take control over certain parts of our lives, and we need to use those to our advantage. And that is what Elvis did. His story is one of victory because he overcame so many obstacles in his life. He walked the road to his dreams and achieved them all and then some. Last but not least, keys to living your dreams like the king. This is a good one. Have big dreams, but remain humble and kind. Boy, Elvis sure exemplified this a lot in his life, didn't he? In talking with some of the people that knew him best, Peter and I noticed there is always a recurring theme. Nearly every single one tells us that Elvis couldn't have been further from his glitzy onstage persona behind closed doors. What really makes them tear up when they talk about his death and how much they miss him is the fact that he was one of the most humble and kind people they ever met. He gave away watches and cars. He was raised with a strict background in his Christian faith. He only won Grammys for gospel music. And I think it's important that we remain kind to others and humble ourselves from time to time in our own journey to the top. So there you go, 5 quick lessons that Elvis taught us about living your dreams like the king. If you'd like to check out the entire episode, you can visit me over on my other website called newlivingthedreampodcast.com and get the full version of that episode. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in, and we'll be back really soon with another brand new episode. You've been a beautiful audience, and we hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening to our show today. Don't forget to subscribe to TCB Radio Network on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast platform. By subscribing, you'll get a notification as soon as our latest episode drops. While you're at it, please rate us with a 5-star review. This will help other Elvis fans find our show. Also, this just in, you can now subscribe to our podcast episodes on YouTube. We also have a YouTube channel that includes archived episodes of our Facebook Live broadcasts and more. You can find links to this and so much more at tcbradionetwork.com.
We'd also like to thank Lee Douglas of Old Time Rock and Roll, always found at www.oldtimernr.com, for converting our show to iTunes. We appreciate you, Lee. Be sure to check out Lee's fantastic site and listen to his weekly shows, all oldies music with no commercials. TCB Radio Network is strictly a fan publication, not affiliated in any way with Elvis Presley Enterprises or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries. Please visit us online at tcbradionetwork.com. All trademarks, product names, company names, and logos mentioned are the properties of their respective owners. All opinions stated within do not necessarily reflect the opinions of anyone else, and certainly not Elvis Presley Enterprises.
Still the King, our theme song for TCB Radio Network podcast, was written by Shane Douglas, produced by Terry Fullwider at Blue Spot Studios, and performed by Peter Alden and his band Crown Electric Company, featuring David Fontana, son of Elvis Presley's original drummer DJ Fontana, on drums.
Elvis Presley is still the king. Well, he's still the king. That's all. Man, he sure could sing.